Hey guys, it's Retro Rose here, and welcome back to Our Life Now and Forever on this lovely mushy Monday. And we are literally going to pick up right where we left off. We were literally in the corner store. Tamrak already had her snacks. We didn't have ours yet. Autumn needs his. Darren needs his, and Baxter needs his too. I think those are all their names. So let's get started. The tallest of the group pulled himself up even higher. Ready to test your luck, Autumn? Nah, I don't need luck. It's rock, paper, scissors. And then you heard something different. It was Tamarack speaking specifically to you, but loud enough that it could be heard halfway across the store. What are you talking about? Each boy in the club turned to stare back at her, and the next person to her, you. Darren stuck his hands into his pockets of his vest and did that thing where he retracted his neck inward so that he didn't have to face people all the way. We're figuring out whose turn is it to buy food. Instead of everybody buying a snack for themselves, our club takes turns having one person get all the supplies for the whole group to share. Why? Her big eyes were clear of any taunting. It honestly didn't make sense to Tamarak's mind. You pay a lot sometimes, or pay a little every time. That's not going to make a difference. It's less boring. Oh. That simple line had actually kind of convinced her of the concept. For once, Baxter's contribution was accepted easily. Tamarack didn't have an interest in teasing him, and anything Baxter might have been up to didn't interest her beyond its face value. Right, this makes things fun. You keenly watched the exchange, curious to find out how the game would go. And it's okay if you and Rose want to eat from the pile too. We almost never finish it anyway. Thanks, I'll share my stuff too. Awesome. Autumn breezily came back around to the original point. Let's get it out of the way. He leaned his weight onto one foot, stuck out a hip, and leveled a glance at his club. Winner gets to be the snack king, and the snack king has to pay. Darren and Baxter both nodded, though only one of them did it with any concern for the possibility. Darren was the worrier. Rock, paper, scissors. The trio of boys chanted the three words, bouncing their fists onto the beat. On the final point, they each made their move. Autumn and Darren had thrown down paper, Baxter was rock, and he was the sole loser, which in that case was a win. He wouldn't have to buy the snacks. Okay, Baxter, get out. Fine. Baxter lifted his hands in defeat, eyes closed. For a second, it seemed like he would take his bow without any smuggy business except, that was nice of you. He had one last line given with a sneaky smirk. While you understood Baxter was being snooty, you didn't get exactly how. Autumn could only shake his head. I figured you should know since you're going to be living here from now on. Baxter only uses rock. What? Tamarack went from dead silent to releasing a high-pitched yell. The volume was enough to cover the entire store that time. Yep, he's never picked anything else in his whole life, I'm pretty sure. He hasn't for as long as I've known him, which is like 2 years. Why? Let me tell you. His eyes squinted along the bottom edge from nervous smile that pulled at his lips. Baxter is diabolical. It's kind of diabolical. But to distress soon colored Autumn's face, he threw out his arms to physically get the emotions across. Doesn't it feel like cheating to beat him when you already know what he's going to do? Me and Darren can also never play paper when he's in the game. Oh, you're right. The kid in question merely smiled with a lift of a chin. He saw no reason to explain or defend his devious behavior. Despite basically doing nothing, or maybe because of that, Baxter earned himself a friendly shove from Autumn. But this time, it was alright because Baxter needed to be out of the game. This is a battle between me and Darren. Autumn finished ripping Baxter so he could sharpen his focus towards the real threat. Now it's on. I'm ready. Two competitors face one another for final bout for the real competition, the title of Snack King, and a whole lot of pocket change was on the line. The audience remained still as they prepared their weapons, and then it began. Rock, paper, scissors. On the word, Darren's fully gloved fingers split to scissors. Autumn's partial gloved hand flattened to paper once more. No. The prongs of Darren's scissors instinctively curled inward, but it was too late. No amount of regret could change the fact scissors beat paper. We've crowned the new Snack King. Autumn managed to blurt out before doubling over with riotous laughter. Hooray, thank you for the treats, Snack King. Long live the Snack King. Baxter patted Darren's back in support. He had offered to pay for the snacks at the very beginning, and Darren could have used Baxter's strategy against him, but Darren never took the easy way. Okay, I'll buy the snacks. Yeah, you will. Let's pick them out already. Sure, come on. With a surprisingly not cocky smile, Baxter stretched his arms all the way around Darren's shoulders. The pair of older boys walked ahead. Autumn didn't follow. He waited for his friends to go to be a good few rounds before twisting around towards you and Tamarack. Psst, he whispered through his teeth, beckoning you closer, all while glancing over his shoulder to keep watch. Tamarack took a hop forward, then looked back and forth. When the coast seemed clear, she leaned in to hear whatever message Autumn was going to deliver. You joined in the huddle. There was no way you'd miss out on a mysterious invitation. I've got another secret for you. Darren doesn't like to play the same thing twice in a row, and he doesn't usually go for Baxter's move either. So most of the time after a round with Baxter and his rock, Darren ends up going for scissors. I could have let him off the hook too, but I thought it'd be nice for Darren to treat the new kids in town for a change, even if he's only doing it because he's a Snack King. Make sure to eat a lot of our stuff. Autumn, he didn't need to go to that much trouble. It wasn't his job to make Darren get along with people. He should do more things for his own sake. Tamarack squished her hands over her mouth. You could still hear the thrilled squeal she made. Your and Tamarack's joy didn't go to Autumn's head. That was nothing apparently. He shrugged up his shoulders while his arms were folded. It's kind of funny the game doesn't matter a lot because we're both so obvious. Oh well, I make a lot of the decisions for the group anyway. Spoken like a true club leader. You understood more why he kept showing up in front of you with plans out of nowhere. That was his normal life. Hey, can we get the snacks now? I decided. She offered the suggestion sweetly. Technically, Autumn already had the idea a minute ago, but he grinned at the attempt. You both knew Tamarack was not somebody who left plans up to Autumn. Those two really wanted to do the same thing. Wasn't always a bad thing, you guessed. That's good to me. Autumn strolled off to join Darren and Baxter again. Tamarack stayed hot on the boys' club's heels. She wouldn't be left behind whether she needed to go shopping or not. It was worth it to at least check what the store had. You considered the shelves surrounding you with new eyes. A jewel from the chest might be yours if you were willing to trade the coins in your pocket for it. Browse through more expensive treats. Yeah. The thing you picked was, almonds bubblegum. What's on the second page? A pack of graham crackers. Sour gummies. Even with that, you had enough money to get more. One of the expensive things are two of the non-expensive snacks. Ooh, select my next snack. The thing you picked was, I saw it. Onion ring chips. Eventually, everyone's getting something had their choice, and the five of you had gathered at the back of the store. Otto was in high spirits over the conclusion. He picked out of a bag of spicy cheese crunchy chips. Baxter chose sour gummies. Look at that. On par. The Snack King got himself some beef jerky. I like all of those. That's funny. Darren marched straight to the counter and slapped down a $10 bill. He called to his club without turning around. Bring the stuff over We've got to ring it up before I can buy it. Coming. Wow. Flashing that amount of cash was apparently unbelievable to Tamarack. She watched the exchange happen as though Darren was making food appear out of thin air. Maybe she couldn't have bought something even if she wanted to. Darren finished the purchase without any extra fuss. He got a big bag of treats and a little change and gripped both tightly in his hands. Your turn to pay. Darren cleared out from the register. You step up to the counter that was taller than you were and piled your money in. The exchange made you think of Mom. You remember her telling you about Oregon when it was a sure thing you'd be moving there. She talked about how there was no sales tax. The price on the sticker was the real amount you'd pay most of the time. That came in handy for you then. Trying to figure out what you would have bought when the more money would be added onto the sale at the checkout would have been a lot harder. Then the tax-free sale was done. Wow. I don't know how true that is. That's cool. Remember, Snack King is also getting the honor of carrying the goods for subjects. Darren securely hooked the bag under his arm while stowing his coins in his pocket of his jeans. I know Baxter. After a pit stop far more eventful than going shopping for snacks sounded like it'd be, the crew of kids left the corner store behind. We're gonna go to the place now. Automated announcement as he took head of the pack. Tamarack was so fluffed up and excited about finally going to the special place. She didn't try to get in front of Autumn, or it could have been she didn't know where he was heading. Special place, special place. The big group surrounding you and the brimming sense of eagerness kept the fall chill away. You continued down Main Street for a few blocks, but as soon had turned down a side road. Whatever the special place was, it took longer to get there than the town and your school. It was beyond Golden Grove. The farther you went, the more the forest took control of the land again. People made structures retreating among. Vibrant leaves become fewer and fewer in number. Actually, it was a similar looking path to the one that led you to your own neighborhood. Part of you wondered if it was all a huge prank by Autumn and you'd end up right where you started. But most of you was just joking yourself. Instead of opening into a hidden neighborhood, the road you taken came to a sun-bleached parking lot. The only building left in sight was the diner table. Oh, that's why it was familiar to you. You hadn't only been there streets that were similar, you had gone down the exact way before, but in a car at night. Now you were there again, on your own 2 feet. You'd gone to the very outskirts of human civilization, the end of that being old-fashioned and just plain old American food restaurant. Ow. In the entire giant lot, you had more fingers on one hand than there were cars parked. All 3 of the vehicles were clustered together in a single section out of the way. Autumn took a few more steps forward, splitting off from the group gathered at the edge of the lot. There's a trail a little bit past here. It leads all the way up into the mountains. His words projected loud through the wide open space, and he raised his arms up with sound. A wall of rusty branches in the distance framed the silhouette of Autumn's back. The forest looked impossibly thick that far from town. If you had been just told there was a way through, you would have thought no one could go further. The Red Fox Ridge Trail. That's its name. Me and my brother and our mom and dad go hiking there sometimes. Autumn twisted his head over one shoulder, showing the edge of a bright grin. There's biking trails too, though I'm not allowed to go ride them yet. I'm sorry, I can't really talk today. Third tongue tied. Ride them yet. I've got to be older. He flapped a thumb and the rest of his fingers up and down against each other in a mocking imitation of his parents' past admonishments. It's too dangerous for a kid. What if you crash? What if no one found you? The mountains isn't a joke. Ironically, he was making a joke out of the not joke warning. Autumn yanked the kinky hand puppet, shifted into a single arm shrug. At least we can walk. Sounds cool. I wonder if I could go down the bike trail sometime. If you really want to do it, it's probably going to happen sooner or later. This is your town. That's what I think. Autumn's eyes started to wander, then he slowly turned his head to look out across the lot. You know, it's too bad Uncle probably isn't working. He does the late shift. We could have said hi and maybe gotten some free drinks. If he was here, he wouldn't have a choice but to say hi. Uncle keeps a close eye on what happens on his turf. Nothing gets past him. He'd have come out by now to talk to us himself. Autumn twirled around to face the four of you properly. He ended the spin by firmly planting his foot on the ground. If attention wasn't entirely on him before, it was then. After gaining an attentive audience, Autumn launched into a dramatic, according to him, tale. One time, a few papers from a notebook fell into a parking lot or something. I know that because when I was passing by a different time, Uncle called me over to give them back to me. That never happens. He stated that definitely, insistently, only to immediately lighten up to the guarantee. Except for around Rose and Tamarack, you two always make them appear out of thin air. Darren and Baxter shared a look out of the corner of their eyes. Autumn was too much distracted by his own storytelling to catch it. Darren's mouth tensed. Baxter's quirked up more. You began to wonder if Autumn's friends were simply too nice or too nervous to point out how Autumn lost papers every other day. Those two must have seen it happen a hundred times, and somehow Autumn remained certain it was an impossibility. Maybe the other club members returned his notes in secret. Oh well, we don't have time for conversation today anyway. The finish line is right ahead. He threw a rally fist into the air. You snickered to yourself. Autumn didn't know when to drop things or when he was the one using up all of the time talking. This was how the final stretch of your journey commenced. The diner table was left behind, and so was Golden Grove entirely. The road you followed out had no sidewalk. There was only a thin, rocky edge that separated Tarmac from the wilderness, Jesus. Luckily, it was as void of cars as the parking lot had been. Only people passing through was a group of 5 kids. You wandered along until the patch of dirt opened out on one side of the street. There was a tilted sign with a fresh coat of dust declaring that this was the head of Red Fox Ridge Trail, 6.8 miles and 1,456 feet of elevation gained. You spied a narrow path curling through the bushes and tree trunks. It soon disappeared past where you could see. The way it unfolded made a streak of pebbles feel playful, like the red fox of the ridge had left it behind only a few minutes ago, and it was daring you to chase after its route. Through here, Darren was suddenly in front of your eyes. It was a startling appearance to come after your imaginations. His spiky blonde hair and striking orange sweater was oddly fox-like. The Red Fox boy screwed up his face in confusion. Darren almost asked what that was about, but didn't. He kept going. All you did. There was no going back now. Advancing under the canopy dense enough to cover the entire sky, you made your way through the forest. No one spoke during the trip, not Autumn to explain anything, not Tamarack to ask when we'd be there. Past the sounds of footsteps and snapping twigs, you could hear the bubbly water. It became more and more clear until the woods parted, smoothed away by old stone bridge. They thought the earth was wearing a red and leafy hair. The crumbling set of stairs led to a trickle stream below. There was no mistaking it. This was a special thing. Tamarack snuck in a whistle breath and did not let it out. Her cheeks fully puffed out, and she stamped her feet as if she was revving up an engine. And then she was gone. Tamarack shot ahead, leaping from the step to step until she was frolicking in the little valley below. "I'll wait for us," Autumn shouted after her, and then had thought to move after her as well. He and Darren darted for the way down together, though Autumn took a shortcut by jumping off the stairs at the halfway point. "Watch your step," Baxter whispered lightly to you. That was not a warning because he was worried. It was a big kid's test to see if I'd shake your nerves. He danced down the stairwell right after without a care in the world. It didn't change anything for you, honestly. You barreled forward as quick as anyone, and you reached the bottom totally fine. "Oh, it's so pretty. Hey, Darren, you can leave the bag near the stairs. We'll eat them later." Autumn took huge strides down the slight hill, holding out his arms for balance. He joined up with Tamarack, who'd crouched by the water. Are there fish in here or frogs? Maybe. I think I saw something moving in there before, but it was a great place, huh? Tamarack's rosy face went blank for a blink. Was this a great place? All the anticipation that had built up, all of the joy from the incredible realization of the answer, burst forth in the grand cheer. Yes, it's a special thing. Oh. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I threw my hands in the air. Ooh, because what's crazy is that we used to go do stuff like this as kids. And I think I talked about this before, like how my uncle took us in the back. We were hunting snakes and I found like a baby frog. But like, we used to like, it's not the safest thing, but we used to kind of go back to the woods around in Michigan and we would find little rivers and little fish and little animals, the geckos, all of it, you name it. You and Tamarack basked in the shared excitement no one but you and her could feel. It wasn't new to anyone else. It wasn't that important to other people. But the joy over it could be doubled because you had each other. Then she sprung into her rain boot-clad feet again, and there was yet more to see. Climbing over mossy stones and looking under them, the group spread out to explore. The air there cooled you through. You could feel it chill against the roof of your mouth and the teeth with every breath. It's like the aftermath of eating a mint. That is such an interesting feeling. It feels nice. It tastes like chewing 5 gum, basically. It wasn't the only autumn season, and the wind rushed across the valley, though those were 2 parts of why. Being so close to water added a 3rd layer of unique type of cold you experience at the special place. It really was a land set apart from everything else. While clambering about, Tamarack imagined a fairy tale about a mysterious creature that lived under the bridge. She never set foot there until that day, but was certain that she was an expert on its hidden history. Her stories were better than a movie. Eventually, Tamarack made a different kind of explanation towards the crowd. I'm going to cross the bridge now. She had already begun itching that way. Yeah, check it out. I think about what to do while we're here. We could play a game or something. Autumn, Baxter, and Darren stood as ununified front of that come up with a plan, despite Autumn doing all the talking. Okay, I'll come back later. That sounds fun, Tamarack. I'll come back too. Yeah, I'm going with Tamarack. Then come, let's go see the bridge. The boys waved you off on your short trip. Tamarack skipped up the stairs and you climbed them too. On top, Tamarack wasted no time running along the stones, but neither did you, obviously. You remained side by side. Tamarack glanced up the trees, clinging with thick roots to the hillside and carved blocks, and created the path suspending you above the ground, completely enchanted. From those fantastic stories and the sparkles in her eyes, Tamarack must have believed there was real magic to be found here. You went to the opposite end, peering into the mountain path below, then looped around the way you'd come. Halfway on the second crossing, Tamarack paused to glance at the valley. Look at them down there, so little. Tamarack was smiling softly over that, and then, without warning, her lips stretched into something mischievous. Tamarack's gaze had gone far away. She silently gripped the strap across her shoulder. When the idea finished coming into life in her mind, Tamarack got to action, staring by taking the bag off and dropping it on the bridge with a thud. Next, Tamarack crouched down to undo the front straps. What are you looking for? She giggled, hee. I have an idea. Tamarack rummaged around inside with both hands and her tongue sticking out until, got it. She yanked out a lumpy, bumpy something and only got a glimpse before she was gone. Tamarack rushed to the railing and just about to tackle the stone wall. She tilted her face out over it. She needed to lean onto her tiptoes to get that far. The vantage point that she used to great effect, Tamarack let out a shout that echoed through the entire valley. Boys! Intrigued by what was happening, you approached the railing and glanced below. There was a very confused boys' club gathered in a bunch, looking straight up at you and Tamarack. They had moved from one side of the stream to the other at this point. Tamarack thrust a closed fist out over the side of the bridge. Between her fingers was the bag of cashews from before. She shook it about. Tamarack had a challenge. If I throw these cashews from up here, do you think you could catch them? Every eye and mouth in the audience popped open wide in surprise. And then the crowd went wild. They reached their hands up in the sky, shouting in unison, yeah! It was like seeing a nest of baby birds when their mom dangled dinner overhead. Tamarack chuckled again. She pulled from the edge part way to settle on the balls of her feet. At the normal talking level, Tamarack spoke words to you. If they miss, the animals can eat them. It's just nuts. You can throw too, or you could go down if you want to catch. What? I've got to throw. Wow, that's the funniest part. This is so cute. Tamarack pulled open the zip-sealed pouch of ammunition. She plopped it on the edge between you and her, and you had plenty to work with. Who knew that packing a full-size bag of cashews would come in handy for something like this? Tamarack, you guess. She was prepared for everything. The leader of the new game selected one single cashew off the top. She stretched out over the drop again. In 2 fingers, Tamarack daintily dangled the first prize, paper planes, and now cashews. Tamarack certainly liked throwing things at people. Ready? Another unanimous clamor rose from the boys' club. Ready? With the flick of her wrist and no final warning, the nuts sailed through the air. Players scrambled to be wherever the cashews had landed. It went straight down, bouncing against the stone and rolled away, never to be seen again. No one was close to. The gang, desperate, fever, fizzled. Awkward glances were sent about the field. That was just a test one. Autumn's excuses amused the other kids, getting slight smiles to spread, but that was true. There was truth in it. The players had a much better idea of the landing zone. Maybe next time, or the time after, somebody would get something. Yep, here we go. Someone as enthusiastic as her wouldn't stick to that pace. It was only the start shot, after all. She shoved cashews into both her palms and then shimmied her arms back and forth above their heads, and the nuts jiggled from her hold without pause, at least until she had reloaded. The game was on. Yeah, the frenzy reached new heights as everyone went in dizzy circles, stumbling over uneven ground and leaping from the golden colored meadow. Baxter took the simplest method to catch it. He used his hands to snatch the falling snacks. Autumn and Darren bent their necks to face towards the sky and attempt to sink a nut directly into their open mouths. You've been way brighter than you thought when you pictured them as chicks hoping for food before. The waves of cashews, Tamarack, and you sent down were unforgiving. It was more than kept the boys' club on their combined 30 toes. They need double the amount to even try to keep up. In the heat of the competition, you glimpsed the coming of a big mistake. It happened faster than anything could be done for. Autumn and Darren slammed directly into each other. The impact brought both toppling over directly into Baxter. Keeping his eyes ahead didn't save him. Baxter went down with the rest of the club. The trio landed in a heap, as helpless as the cashews no one caught. 2 boys rolled over on their backs in the grass, holding their poor faces. The third was flat on his stomach, blinking in surprise. That's why you're supposed to watch where you're going. Yeah. Tamarack cupped her hands together and stopping any more cashews from falling. Are your heads okay? From the youngest to oldest, the group started climbing to their feet again. They brushed off leaves and grass and a couple cashew pieces stuck in their clothes. Baxter helpfully plucked debris off of his buddy's backside and then couldn't reach. Autumn inhaled deeply, tilted far back to drop his hood onto his shoulders, and responded to the concern loud enough for all to hear. I'm good. The boys' club had a little group talk afterwards, but the part was too quiet for you to hear. Okay, guys, I'm actually going to go ahead and cut it here. Thank you for joining me on this part of Mushy Monday, and I'll catch you next Monday. Bye.